It's Marcus Daily Racing Forum correspondent and handicapper. Here to talk to you about something brand new track. Well, it's been a harness track, but Century Downs in Canada is it's having its first day of its first thoroughbred meet on Saturday, and they have a guaranteed $15,000, I believe, pick four on races 5 through 8. I've taken a look at these races and put together a little bit of a ticket, and I'm going to go through them one by one and outline how I'm going to attempt to play this race. My first ever bet on a Canadian track outside of Fort Erie or Woodbine. So this is a 5.5 furlong oval, a bull ring. So like traditional sprints, like it's 6 furlongs. The distance of race 5 run around 2 turns. A lot of the horses are coming from Northlands Park. I mean, that makes up the bulk of the population in these races. That's a similar type of track. So if you're looking at form from there, it's horses that have proven to be able to race around this kind of configuration. This first race of the pick four, it's a, I would just love to survive. It's a maiden $5,000 claimer. That's a very low level race, obviously. And I'm just going to try to get by with 3 horses here. I think that Silent Command number 6 will be lower than the morning line of 7-1. I'm pretty sure that horse looks like the speed of the speed to me. The Racing Forum correspondent who's covering this meet, Randy Golding, said that he emailed me. We're exchanging some thoughts, and one of the leading trainers around there suspected that speed might care really well on this track. We shall see, but I think Silent Command number 6 in this race has a good chance of making the pace, and just missed winning at this distance the first time out at Northlands after opening up a big lead that he failed to hold. I think you could forgive his second race. He got hooked in a speed duel going a half furlong farther over a muddy track, and the horse stands a decent chance of rebounding here. Also, number 5, Cheeky Purchase from Hastings, somehow even money on the morning line. I'm not sure that the horse is going to be that short, but that's a horse that's going to be a little bit off the pace, and I think probably at the horse's best, classes up decently in this kind of soft spot. Number 4, Sheep River Bear. This is kind of a professional maiden, 10 race maiden, but 3 seconds, 4/3. Has some speed, cuts back a bit, probably to a better distance. I mean, I think it's a what you see is what you get kind of case, because the horse has run 6 times pretty recently. And he's always been close at similar class levels. Actually has dropped a little bit recently. I think that that's a horse that I would have to use and will be using in this race too. Number 4, Sheep River Bear, is also worth considering. Another sort of, number 3. I'm not using this horse high impact, but if I were going to spread a little bit more, I would, because this is a very lightly raced horse whose comeback race following a very long layoff was decent. Just looked like the horse got a little bit tired, as was the case first time back in 2016. But for me, for the purposes of this pick 4 ticket, numbers 4, 5, and 6 will have to suffice. Moving on to race 6. Another lower level race, and non-winners of 2 claimer, 62.50. Going 3/4 again. I have 3 horses in the pick 4 here. Number 2, Roadside Kisses. Number 6, Bonnie Trader. Number 7, Street Bell. And in the order in which I selected those horses was 6, 7, 2. So Bonnie Trader, I'll mention her first. There are 2 ugly running lines which should get a little bit of value going on September 1st and August 11th, both poor performances. But I think if you look at this horse, she looks like a horse who needs to be on the lead to have any sort of chance to show her best at all. She was not able to make the front in either of her last 2 starts, 2 back because she hopped at the break, and last up because she got outrun a little bit, I think. She was drawn on the rail last time, drawn in post 2 the time before, rail before, 2 before that. When you've got a horse like that who wants to get to the front and isn't exceptionally fast, as is the case with Bonnie Trader, I always think that the worst place to be is stuck down inside, because if the horse gets outrun early, they're just going to fold up and not show anything close to their best. So I think that this horse, rather than maybe being over the top, has just had bad circumstances. The last two got a better draw for what she wants to do. And I hope Bonnie Trader can get home because I think she'll be a decent price. The 7 Street Bell is 2-1 in the morning line. You know, a speed and fade type last time. Maiden winner 3-back. I think on the whole, Bonnie Trader, who ought to be a longer price, has faced better horses. And if she could make the front, she might be able to hold that horse off. The 2 Roadside Kisses. This is a horse that's expected to be stalking the pace from the inside. Sloppy track last time, muddy, and a mild 2-back. I think that she might be in a little bit better spot to capitalize on her strength. So again, 3 horses in the pick 4 there. We get to race 7, which is the feature of the day. Pretty good race, $30,000 purse and open allowance race. And to me, this is a key race in the whole sequence. And I mean, you know, I'm struggling to figure out the form to begin with, but the reason that I would consider even playing is because you've got an odds-on favorite named Killin' Me Smalls here, whom I'm interested in trying to beat. The horses 4 to 5 on the line, I think, will be similarly played in the pick 4. And I think there are reasons to suspect that this 7-year-old gelding, who is, you know, phenomenal racehorse in his own right, 20 wins from 42 starts, he's vulnerable. He's run a lot already this summer. This will be his 8th start of the year. He just ran September 2nd, and while he's probably better than that race, he won by a neck going 1 mile and 3/8. That's kind of outside the scope of his best distance. If you look at the way his form evolved this year, he really hit his stride going 1 mile and 1/16 when he could make a lead and just sustain a pretty strong pace, you know, and going a real route of ground. This is a 7-furlong race with quite a bit of pace in it. He's drawn on the far outside. I don't see that he gets to the front because I don't think he's really got an early pace advantage on a couple of horses drawn inside him. He's not a horse who's shown the sort of athleticism and turn of foot to pass horses going a distance this short. And so I'm not going to use him and hope that my guess that he's a little suspect here is right. The 2 horses that I will try to get by with in the pick 3 are numbers 1 and 5. I like number 1, Private Money Game, a lot more than the horse's odds, which are 15-1. I think that this is a horse that's well suited to 7 furlongs. I'd like the draw because he's not going to get to the front. He's going to be outrun early, kind of stalk the pace. And you only have to go, you know, 4 races back to find 4 and 5 races back at Northlands to find, you know, really competitive performances. I think if the trip works out for him and he is able to find room when he's making a bid from a stalking position, that's a horse that could get home in a price. The other one I'm using in this race is number 5, Sir Bronx. On speed figures, he has no decided edge on several horses in this race, but what I do like about him is he came out of Woodbine last year and was switched from synthetic racing there to dirt in this part of Canada, and he hasn't lost yet. 3 wins in a row at similar trips. He's got positional speed, but I think he's somewhat tactically versatile. He's just a 4-year-old. Only those 3 runs this year. He's gotten a little bit of a break, more so than the favorite in this race, and he's put in a couple of works that look solid. And he got to work himself into a good trip. I think he might be the second choice in the race, but in the pick 4, he's still going to provide value if Killin' Me Smalls does not win. So coming to the last leg, a 5,000 claimer, very tough race in my opinion. I would love to be able to spread more than I want to spend in this race, but I'm going to try to get by with 3 horses here. I have it picked number 2, Space Junk, over number 3, just getting even, over number 8, Artistica. The one thing that really stands out to me about this race is the overabundance of early pace types. I just don't see anyone really being able to hold up if all the, and you know, it's just in these kinds of races on bull rings, I mean, people try to use their tactical advantage to the greatest extent possible, and I just don't see an option for a lot of horses here other than to go to the front. It looks like a classic fall apart race to me, and I mean, Space Junk number 2, 20-1, 20-1 on the line. Might be a little shorter than that. Has been running, you know, at a smaller venue in little tiny stakes races. But if you go back to the Northlands form from earlier this summer, you see exactly the sort of running lines that make sense in this race, where the horse falls back and going 3/4 and comes with a late run and has done so pretty consistently. And was able to win for this tag, albeit with a non-winners of one condition on June 24th. I really think that horse, Space Junk number 2, has a much better chance than 20-1, and I'm hoping that the race falls apart to him. Number 3, Just Getting Even, is another horse that I think that can come from out of it a little bit, even though, excuse me, he's been close, or she's been close in her last few starts. Those were slightly longer, and if you go back a little farther in her form till September of 2016, you see a race where she was lagging in 6th early and then came with a little bit of a run. That's the kind of style that I want in this race. Those would be the top 2. Those are the 2 horses that I see that have a chance to take advantage of the way I see the race flow going. And then Artistica number 8 is not that kind of horse. She is a horse that's going to want to be close. But if you're going to take a pace horse in one of these races where you identify a surplus of early speed types, try to find the one that's the speed of the speed that might be able to outrun the other horses, because front runners that are chasing, they're much less likely to pass a horse than a front runner who gets to the front and just is able to hang on. And Artistic is the one that I think might be fastest and who I would choose among all the early pace types. But again, to me, the pick 4 is going to come down to this featured race 7, which is not only the best race on the card, but has the best horse on the card, Killing Me Smalls, who to me is the key to the sequence, in that I think he might not win today. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how everything unfolds at this new thoroughbred venue in Canada, and best of luck.